How we doing, guys? Welcome back. We got another little project here. It's a continuation on the belt sander, the Delta 31550. I got the opportunity to run it for the first time, and lo and behold, we found another problem. The adjusting mechanism that holds the top barrel, the bearing was worn really bad, so bad it wore right into the shaft. So we'll take a look at it here. And both sides of this are worn, but you can see how bad. I ended up looking online and I can still buy a shaft. $15 replacement shaft. Okay, it's not worth me mailing a piece 2-3 foot stick to myself, you know, to do this job. So for 15 bucks, I bought the shaft. On this barrel, this top barrel, that the idler barrel for the belt, is two pieces. That shaft is supposed to tap through there, almost a slip fit. Well, when I pressed this out, it had rusted inside there and it had galled a little bit. And what they did on this newer shaft is they actually made it a little bit undersized, and then they knurled a couple of sections where it grabs that barrel. So this slides through pretty easy and you can tap it in pretty good. So I like the way they did that. As far as the thread form here, it doesn't really make any difference. It's going to work exactly the same way. And the shaft itself really fits nice on the bearing, but if you look at the way this is assembled, your barrel would be located here. You have a little spacer that butts up against the barrel. And then your bearing would sit right about there, and it would be in the housing, and you lock this nut against the same setup on the other side, and it ties everything together, and the whole assembly is sitting in a casting with a threaded nut that locks it into place. So I like this because it's going to slip in a lot easier, and if I ever have to take it back out again, I think it's going to come out a lot easier than the old one. And let me tell you, I had this in the press and I thought I was going to crush that drum trying to take this out, but it didn't hurt it. You could tell somebody else has had this out before because there is marks on the outside of that drum where they had pressed it out before too. So what we're going to make today is this little threaded locking ring. Now this threaded locking ring is used on a lot of different products that Delta uses. It's used on a few of their drill presses, the older drill presses. And what this does is in the end of this assembly, if you look in there, you can see those threads. When you slide that shaft and everything in there, bearing, this locks it into place and locks it right up against the hub. Okay. This was horrible to get out of there. This was really in there tight. So we're going to make a new one. I buggered it up pretty good, trying to get it out of there. Now I could probably use that again, but we got a lathe, we got machinery. Let's make another one. So again, this bearing is metric, and I can't remember the exact size. I know this is 15 millimeter. I think this one's 37 millimeter on the outside. So the minor diameter of this thread is 37 millimeter, okay? So that it can slide through the threads and up into that hub, okay? And then this screw backs up against it and tightens it in. So being that the nut is smaller, and I bought a couple of nuts, and all they are is nylon locking nuts, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this exactly the same on the outside diameter, but the inside diameter, the hole is going to be much smaller. If you take this nut and you stick it in a socket, it fits in a 7/8 socket, okay? So the hole in here has to be no smaller than what a outside diameter of a 7/8 socket is. So that gives me quite a bit of room to make it a little bit thicker. Now again, like I said, I think this is 37 millimeter on the outside. It might be 47. I'll have to look it up again. But it's 24 pitch. Okay, so we're just going to run. I measured this. It is exactly 1 inch 400 thousandths OD. Okay, so it's just under an inch and a half. This is 1020 cold drawn. Welds really, really nice. I ordered this a while back when I had made bushings for my front end loader. Okay, the bushings were all worn out, and I ended up making pins that were 1 inch in diameter, and this is just undersized 1 inch. So if I reamed it out, it made a nice fit. So this is a little bigger in diameter. It's got a 1 inch hole, which is a little smaller than what I need. I'm going to turn it down, bore it. I'm probably going to thread it first before I actually bore it. I'll turn it down to size, thread it, bore it, and then mill a keyway in it. Or I shouldn't say a keyway, but a slot. Okay? So that's what we're going to do today. The next time I see you, I'll be over at the lathe. All right, we're going to make the nut for the Delta belt sander. This is going to hold the bearing in place, lock it in place. Okay, so we got to turn it 1 inch 400, bore a hole in it around 1 inch 20 thousandths. Really doesn't matter as long as we have clearance for a socket to get in there. And we're going to thread it 24 threads per inch. Okay. So we're going to take about 11 thousandths off. Set this back to 0. Looks like about 3 more. Yeah, 3 or 4 thousandths. Alright, so we're right on the money. I'm going to face this off, which I should have done first. And then we'll go to bore this out. It's almost a 1-inch bore now. Just going to bore it out a little bit. I could probably run a drill through there, but... Alright, we're ready to cut threads. We're all set up on 29 degrees and 29.5 degrees. 24 threads per inch. We'll check that after we make a pass. And our depth is about 27 thousandths. Okay. Alright. Went a little more than a scratch pass. Oh, we're right on the money. Waiting for my number. See how they look. Look pretty good. Just starting. Took a little tiny bit off. good. It goes right down to the end of the threads.